Chapter 12:1. While the lion was saying these words to the eagle, I looked, too, and behold, the remaining head disappeared, and the two wings that had gone over to it arose, and set themselves up to reign, and their reign was brief, and full of tumult. 3. And I looked, and behold, they also disappeared, and the whole body of the eagle was burned, and the earth was exceedingly terrified. Then I awoke in great perplexity of mind and great fear, and I said to my spirit, 4. Behold, you have brought this upon me, because you search out the ways of the Most High. 5. Behold, I am still weary in mind, and very weak in my spirit, and not even a little strength is left in me, because of the great fear with which I have been terrified this night. 6. Therefore, I will now beseech the Most High that he may strengthen me to the end. 7. And I said, O sovereign Lord, if I have found favor in thy sight, and if I have been accounted righteous before thee beyond many others, and if my prayer has indeed come up before thy face, 8. Strengthen me and show me, thy servant, the interpretation and meaning of this terrifying vision, that thou mayest fully comfort my soul. 9. For thou hast judged me worthy to be shown the end of the times and the last events of the times. 10. He said to me, This is the interpretation of this vision which you have seen. 11. The eagle which you saw coming up from the sea is the fourth kingdom, which appeared in a vision to your brother Daniel. 12. But it was not explained to him, as I now explain, or have explained it to you. 13. Behold, the days are coming when a kingdom shall arise on earth, and it shall be more terrifying than all the kingdoms that have been before it. 14. And 12 kings shall reign in it, one after another. 15. But the second that is to reign shall hold sway for a longer time than any other of the 12. 16. This is the interpretation of the 12 wings which you saw. 17. As for your hearing a voice that spoke, coming not from the eagle's heads, but from the midst of his body, this is the interpretation. 18. In the midst of the time of that kingdom, great struggles shall arise, and it shall be in danger of falling. Nevertheless, it shall not fall then, but shall regain its former power. 19. As for your seeing 8 little wings clinging to his wings, this is the interpretation. 20. 8 kings shall arise in it, whose time shall be short, and their years swift. 21. And 2 of them shall perish when the middle of its time draws near, and 4 shall be kept for the time when its end approaches, but 2 shall be kept until the end. 22. As for your seeing 3 heads at rest, this is the interpretation. 23. In its last days the Most High will raise up 3 kings, and they shall renew many things in it, and shall rule the earth. 24. And its inhabitants more oppressively than all who were before them. Therefore they are called the heads of the eagle. 25. For it is they who shall sum up his wickedness and perform his last actions. 26. As for your seeing that the large head disappeared, one of the kings shall die in his bed, but in agonies. 27. But as for the 2 who remain, the sword shall devour them. 28. For the sword of one shall devour him who was with him, but he also shall fall by the sword in the last days. 29. As for your seeing 2 little wings passing over to the head, which was on the right side. 30. This is the interpretation. It is these whom the Most High has kept for the eagle's end. This was the reign which was brief and full of tumult, as you have seen. 31. And as for the lion whom you saw rousing up out of the forest, and roaring, and speaking to the eagle, and reproving him for his unrighteousness, and as for all his words that you have heard. 32. This is the Messiah, whom the Most High has kept until the end of days, who will arise from the posterity of David, and will come and speak to them. He will denounce them for their ungodliness and for their wickedness, and will cast up before them their contemptuous dealings. 33. For first he will set them living before his judgment seat, and when he has reproved them, then he will destroy them. 34. But he will deliver in mercy the remnant of my people, those who have been saved throughout my borders. And he will make them joyful until the end comes, the day of judgment of which I spoke to you at the beginning. 35. This is the dream that you saw, and this is its interpretation. 36. And you alone were worthy to learn this secret of the Most High. 37. Therefore write all these things that you have seen in a book, and put it in a hidden place. 38. And you shall teach them to the wise among your people, whose hearts you know are able to comprehend and keep these secrets. 39. But wait here 7 days more, so that you may be shown whatever it pleases the Most High to show you. Then he left me. 40. When all the people heard that the 7 days were past, and I had not returned to the city, they all gathered together, from the least to the greatest, and came to me, and spoke to me, saying, 41. How have we offended you, and what harm have we done you, that you have forsaken us, and sit in this place? 42. For of all the prophets you alone are left to us like a cluster of grapes from the vintage, and like a lamp in a dark place, and like a haven for a ship saved from a storm. 43. Are not the evils which have befallen us sufficient? 44. Therefore, if you forsake us, how much better it would have been for us if we also had been consumed in the burning of Zion. 45. For we are no better than those who died there. And they wept with a loud voice. Then I answered them and said, 46. Take courage, O Israel, and do not be sorrowful, O house of Jacob. 47. For the Most High has you in remembrance, and the Mighty One has not forgotten you in your struggle. 48. As for me, I have neither forsaken you nor withdrawn from you, but I have come to this place to pray on account of the desolation of Zion, and to seek mercy on account of the humiliation of our sanctuary. 49. Now go, every one of you, to his house, and after these days I will come to you. 50. So the people went into the city as I told them to do. 51. But I sat in the field 7 days, as the angel had commanded me, and I ate only of the flowers of the field, and my food was of plants during those days. Chapter 13. 1. After 7 days I dreamed a dream in the night. 2. And behold, a wind arose from the sea and stirred up all its waves. 3. And I looked, and behold, this wind made something like a figure of a man come up out of the heart of the sea. And I looked, and behold, that man flew with the clouds of heaven, and wherever he turned his face to look, everything under his gaze trembled. 4. And whenever his voice issued from his mouth, all who heard his voice melted, as wax melts when it feels the fire. 5. After this I looked, and behold, an innumerable multitude of men were gathered together from the four winds of heaven to make war against the man who came up out of the sea. 6. And I looked, and behold, he carved out for himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it. 7. And I tried to see the region or place from which the mountain was carved, but I could not. 8. After this I looked, and behold, all who had gathered together against him to wage war with him were much afraid, yet dared to fight. 9. And behold, when I saw the onrush of the approaching multitude, he neither lifted his hand, nor held a spear, or any weapon of war. 10. But I saw only how he sent forth from his mouth as it were a stream of fire, and from his lips a flaming breath, and from his tongue he shot forth a storm of sparks. 11. All these were mingled together, the stream of fire and the flaming breath, the great storm, and fell on the onrushing multitude, which was prepared to fight, and burned them all up, so that suddenly nothing was seen of the innumerable multitude, but only the dust of ashes and the smell of smoke. When I saw it, I was amazed. 12. After this I saw the same man come down from the mountain, and call to him another multitude, which was peaceable. 13. Then many people came to him, some of whom were joyful and some sorrowful. Some of them were bound, and some were bringing others as offerings. Then in great fear I awoke, and I besought the Most High and said, 14. From the beginning thou hast shown thy servant these wonders, and hast deemed me worthy to have my prayer heard by thee. 15. Now show me also the interpretation of this dream. 16. For as I consider in my mind, alas for those who will be left in those days, and still more alas for those who are not left. 17. For those who are not left will be sad. 18. Because they understand what is reserved for the last days, but cannot attain it. 19. But alas for those also who are left, and for that very reason, for they shall see great dangers and much distress, as these dreams show. 20. Yet it is better to come into these things, though incurring peril, than to pass from the world like a cloud, and not to see what shall happen in the last days. He answered me and said, 21. I will tell you the interpretation of the vision, and I will also explain to you the things which you have mentioned. 22. As for what you said about those who are left, this is the interpretation. 23. He who brings the peril at that time will himself protect those who fall into peril, who have works and have faith in the Almighty. 24. Understand therefore that those who are left are more blessed than those who have died. 25. This is the interpretation of the vision. As for your seeing a man come up from the heart of the sea. 26. This is he whom the Most High has been keeping for many ages, who will himself deliver his creation, and he will direct those who are left. 27. And as for your seeing wind and fire and a storm coming out of his mouth. 28. And as for his not holding a spear or weapon of war, yet destroying the onrushing multitude which came to conquer him, this is the interpretation. 29. Behold, the days are coming, when the Most High will deliver those who are on the earth. 30. And bewilderment of mind shall come over those who dwell on the earth. 31. And they shall plan to make war against one another, city against city, place against place, people against people, and kingdom against kingdom. 32. And when these things come to pass, and the signs occur which I showed you before, then my Son will be revealed, whom you saw as a man, coming up from the sea. 33. And when all the nations hear his voice, Every man shall leave his own land and the warfare that they have against one another. 34. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as you saw, desiring to come and conquer him. 35. But he shall stand on the top of Mount Zion. 36. And Zion will come and be made manifest to all people, prepared and built, as you saw the mountain carved out without hands. 37. And he, my son, will reprove the assembled nations for their ungodliness. This was symbolized by the storm. 38. And will reproach them to their face with their evil thoughts and the torments with which they are to be tortured, which were symbolized by the flames, and will destroy them without effort by the law, which was symbolized by the fire. 39. And as for your seeing him gather to himself another multitude that was peaceable. 40. These are the 10 tribes which were led away from their own land into captivity in the days of King Hoshea, whom Salmanasar, the king of the Assyrians, led captive. He took them across the river, and they were taken into another land. 41. But they formed this plan for themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the nations and go to a more distant region, where mankind had never lived. 42. That there at least they might keep their statutes, which they had not kept in their own land. 43. And they went in by the narrow passages of the Euphrates River. 44. For at that time the Most High performed signs for them, and stopped the channels of the river until they had passed over. 45. Through that region there was a long way to go, a journey of 1.5 years, and that country is called Azareth. 46. Then they dwelt there until the last times, and now, when they are about to come again. 47. The Most High will stop the channels of the river again, so that they may be able to pass over. Therefore you saw the multitude gather together in peace. 48. But those who are left of your people, who are found within my holy borders, shall be saved. 49. Therefore when he destroys the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he will defend the people who remain. 50. And then he will show them very many wonders. 51. And I said, O sovereign Lord, explain this to me. Why did I see the man coming up from the heart of the sea? 52. He said to me, just as no one can explore or know what is in the depths of the sea, so no one on earth can see my Son or those who are with him, except in the time of his day. 53. This is the interpretation of the dream which you saw, and you alone have been enlightened about this. 54. Because you have forsaken your own ways, and have applied yourself to mine, and have searched out my law. 55. For you have devoted your life to wisdom, and called understanding your mother. 56. Therefore I have shown you this, for there is a reward laid up with the Most High. And after 3 more days I will tell you other things, and explain weighty and wondrous matters to you. 57. Then I arose and walked in the field, giving great glory and praise to the Most High, because of his wonders which he did from time to time. 58. And because he governs the times, and whatever things come to pass in their seasons. And I stayed there 3 days. Chapter 14. 1. On the 3rd day, while I was sitting under an oak behold, a voice came out of a bush opposite me and said, Ezra, Ezra. 2. And I said, Here I am, Lord. And I rose to my feet. 3. And then he said to me, I revealed myself in a bush and spoke to Moses when my people were in bondage in Egypt. 4. And I sent him and led my people out of Egypt, and I led him up on Mount Sinai, where I kept him with me many days. 5. And I told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times, and declared to him the end of the times. Then I commanded him, saying, 6. These words you shall publish openly, and these you shall keep secret. 7. And now I say to you, 8. Lay up in your heart the signs that I have shown you, the dreams that you have seen, and the interpretations that you have heard. 9. For you shall be taken up from among men, and henceforth you shall live with my Son, and with those who are like you, until the times are ended. 10. For the age has lost its youth, and the times begin to grow old. 11. For the age is divided into 12 parts, and 9 of its parts have already passed, 12 as well as half of the 10th part. So 2 of its parts remain, besides half of the 10th part. 13. Now therefore, set your house in order, and reprove your people, comfort the lowly among them, and instruct those that are wise, and now renounce the life that is corruptible. 14. And put away from your mortal thoughts, cast away from you the burdens of man, and divest yourself now of your weak nature. 15. And lay to one side the thoughts that are most grievous to you, and hasten to escape from these times. 16. For evils worse than those which you have now seen happen shall be done hereafter. 17. For the weaker the world becomes through old age, the more shall evils be multiplied upon its inhabitants. 18. For truth shall go farther away, and falsehood shall come near, for the eagle which you saw in the vision is already hastening to come. 19. Then I answered and said, Let me speak in thy presence, Lord. 20. For behold, I will go as thou hast commanded me, and I will reprove the people who are now living. But who will warn those who will be born hereafter? For the world lies in darkness, and its inhabitants are without light. 21. For thy law has been burned, and so no one knows the things which have been done or will be done by thee. 22. If then I have found favor before thee, send the Holy Spirit unto me, and I will write everything that has happened in the world from the beginning, the things which were written in thy law, that men may be able to find the path, and that those who wish to live in the last days may live. 23. He answered me and said, Go and gather the people, and tell them not to seek you for 40 days. 24. But prepare for yourself many writing tablets, and take with you Sarah, Debria, Selemia, Athanas, and Asiel, these 5, because they are trained to write rapidly. 25. And you shall come here, and I will light in your heart the lamp of understanding, which shall not be put out until what you are about to write is finished. 26. And when you have finished, some things you shall make public, and some you shall deliver in secret to the wise. Tomorrow at this hour you shall begin to write. 27. Then I went as he commanded me, and I gathered all the people together, and said, 28. Hear these words, O Israel. 29. At first our fathers dwelt as aliens in Egypt, and they were delivered from there. 30. And received the law of life, which they did not keep, which you also have transgressed after them. 31. Then land was given to you for a possession in the land of Zion, but you and your fathers committed iniquity and did not keep the ways which the Most High commanded you. 32, and because he's a righteous judge, in due time he took from you what he had given. 33, and now you are here, and your brethren are farther in the interior. 34, if you then will rule over your minds and discipline your hearts, you shall be kept alive, and after death you shall obtain mercy. 35, for after death the judgment will come, when we shall live again, and then the names of the righteous will become manifest, and the deeds of the ungodly will be disclosed. 36, but let no one come to me now, and let no one seek me for 40 days. 37, so I took the 5 men as he commanded me, and we proceeded to the field, and remained there. 38, and on the next day, behold, a voice called me, saying, Ezra, open your mouth, and drink what I give you to drink. 39, then I opened my mouth, and behold, a cup was offered to me, and it was full of something like water, but its color was like fire. 40, and I took it and drank. 41, and my mouth was opened and was no longer closed. 42, and the Most High gave understanding to the 5 men, and by turns they wrote what was dictated in characters which they did not know. They sat 40 days and wrote during the daytime, and ate their bread at night. 43, as for me, I spoke in the daytime, and was not silent at night. 44, so during the 40 days, 94 books were written. 45, and when the 40 days were ended, the Most High spoke to me, saying, Make public the 24 books that you wrote first, and let the worthy and the unworthy read them. 46, but keep the 70 that were written last, in order to give them to the wise among your people. 47, for in them is the spring of understanding, the fountain of wisdom, and the river of knowledge. 48, and I did so.